Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're looking at crafting a thriller, The Orphan's Promise. You know, when you're writing or analyzing a story set in a royal court, it is so tempting to just focus on all that luxury, the elaborate ceremonies, or, if we're talking about a royal kitchen, the food itself. But to actually hook an audience, you've got to raise the stakes immediately. So we're going to break down an absolute masterclass in story structure. We'll see exactly how to take a seemingly normal domestic setting and literally transform it into a high-stakes battleground right from the jump.
All right, let's dive in. Think about what you expect from a royal kitchen. Usually it's culinary arts, prep work, maybe some light, workplace drama. But to make this a true thriller, we have to completely shatter that expectation right out of the gate. We are shifting away from a place to cook straight into the harsh reality, a cutthroat political battlefield. And that brings us to our core hook. This isn't about making a nice stew. It's about ruthless survival. Because think about it. The kitchen is the beating heart of the palace. It controls what goes into the mouths of the most powerful people in the kingdom. And that makes it a weapon. It's a place where people are poisoned, framed, and executed. By laying this reality bare right up front, every single time a character chops a root or brews a tea later on, you're going to feel that underlying tension.
So, let's look at Beat 1, the blood-stained court.
We are stepping immediately into the late 15th century Joseon Dynasty under King Sang-gun. Now, this isn't just some pretty historical window dressing. Under this tyrannical king, the court is a highly dangerous machine running on factions and betrayals. Notice how this heavy atmosphere of dread gets established before we even meet our main character. We're thrust right into this violent world of shadows.
And to really show the sheer volume of danger here, we're hit with factions, betrayals, and ultimately, a forced execution by poison. We literally watch the king's mother, Queen Yoon, get executed. This is the inciting incident for the entire world. It proves to us, without a doubt, that nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, is safe from the deadly politics here. It's kind of the original sin of our story's timeline, casting this massive dark shadow over everything else.
Which naturally leads us to Beat 2, the hunted parents. Look at how this timeline essentially seals their doom. Back in the past, the father, who's a royal military officer, is the actual guy forced to carry out the queen's execution. He physically forces the poison down her throat, and it just haunts him. Then, shortly after, the mother secretly witnesses the powerful Choi clan poisoning a rival, and because she knows too much, they try to take her out. So you have these two incredibly damaged survivors of the palace machine. They meet, they fall in love, and for years they live in hiding as commoners constantly looking over their shoulders. They're terrified.
Now, the mother worked in the Saragan, that's the royal kitchen, as a maid, and that time she spent there, that is the source of all this family's trauma. It's a stark reminder that the kitchen is basically ground zero for the palace's political warfare. The fact that the Choi clan tried to assassinate her really highlights how far these factions will go to protect their secrets. It anchors the origin of all this danger right back to those kitchen factions. To make us fiercely root for our protagonist, we need a devastating emotional low. Let's move to Beat 3, the tragedy.
So you gotta ask yourself, how does the tension finally break? I mean, after years of looking over their shoulders, raising their daughter in this suffocating fear, something has to give. And here's the thing about thrillers. The downfall rarely comes from some massive, calculated enemy attack. Actually, it almost always stems from a tiny, unavoidable human error.
And that heartbreaking mistake? It's an accidental betrayal at a simple village market. Innocent young Jang Geum accidentally blurts out her father's true identity, and boom, he's immediately arrested. There's zero malice here. It's just the tragic innocence of a kid who doesn't quite grasp the massive weight of the secret she's carrying around. In a split second, the veil is lifted, the authorities are alerted, and her father's past catches up with him.
It's such a stark contrast. On one side, you have the total innocence of a helpless child who made a simple mistake. On the other, the absolute ruthlessness of political factions, a cold, calculated machine with zero mercy. Because as her mother makes this desperate bid to save her husband by reaching out to old palace allies, while she only succeeds in letting the assassins know she's still alive, the Choi clan tracks her down and murders her. That innocence is just completely crushed by the ruthlessness.
This tragedy is what sets up the emotional anchor for the entire first half of the series. Here's Beat 4, the dying wish.
As she's dying, the mother forces a massive oath onto her daughter. She leaves behind a final letter detailing the exact crimes of the Choi family that she witnessed all those years ago. And this letter, it changes the whole game. It transforms the story from one of mere survival into a highly driven quest for justice. It takes Jang Geum from being a passive victim and gives her this profound concrete purpose.
This oath gives her what looks like an absolutely impossible roadmap. It outlines step by step exactly why becoming a kitchen lady is such a high-stakes, thrilling objective. Step 1, she just has to survive being an orphan. Step 2, find a way to enter the very palace that ordered her parents' deaths. Step 3, rise through incredibly competitive, dangerous ranks to become the highest kitchen lady. And Step 4, expose the conspiracy.
Now, why the highest kitchen lady? Because it's the only rank with enough authority to access the secret royal journals. This is exactly why the cooking matters. The title isn't just about culinary prestige, it's a tactical necessity. Without that specific rank, she will never be permitted to see those secret journals. The royal kitchen is literally her only pathway to bringing down the most powerful families in the whole country.
We end this opening sequence with young orphan Jang Geum standing at these massive palace gates, having successfully infiltrated as a low-level apprentice. She is a tiny, powerless child stepping into the exact same snake pit that killed her parents. The sheer scale of the palace towering over her really drives home just how astronomically stacked the odds are against her.
So we're left with this chillin' question. How will she survive the very snake pit that destroyed her family? It's impossible not to want to see what happens next. She's got the motivation, she has her mother's letter, and she has a clear goal. But she's entirely alone in a world where one single mistake gets you poisoned or executed. How in the world will she outmaneuver the Choi clan? How can she possibly rise to the top of the Saragan without being discovered? This perfectly crafted opening sequence guarantees that you are deeply invested in finding out. Thanks for joining me for this explainer on building a thriller opening. Until next time, keep analyzing the stories you love.